If you're looking for a super easy way to beat Grandmaster Disgraced in about 15 minutes per run, then you came to the right place. First things first, let's get started with what loadout you want to bring into this Grandmaster. If we look at the modifiers, we see that we have Void and Solar Surges, we have Barrier and Unstoppable Champions, and we of course have the Overcharged Weapons mod that's going to give a 25% bonus to any kinetic weapon that we have that matches an active surge. To the surprise of no one, it's an anti-barrier strike. We're going with Outbreak Perfected on all three Guardians of the Fire team. I just did a test run before this, before actually recording this guide video to make sure all the strategies were ironclad. And I think that I probably fired like 2 bullets out of my other guns. This is genuinely the only weapon that matters. As long as you bring this, you're going to be cooking. So much so that the rest of your build doesn't even really matter that much. I do recommend having a weapon that can stun unstoppable champions, though. We have unstoppable sidearm this season, so something like the rocket sidearm and Deaded Kindness works. But even if you don't have this, even if you've never done Warlord's Ruin, you can run a primary ammo sidearm just for the unstoppable sidearm, and you'll be perfectly fine. You're genuinely not going to be shooting any bullets out of this weapon unless it's to stun an unstoppable champion. Your Outbreak is going to tear everything to shreds. As far as the heavy slot goes, I'm going with a Void grenade launcher just so I can have some bonus burst if I have like a tough to get champion or for the boss specifically. Just, ripping off because it is a Void surge. You could also bring a solar grenade launcher, a solar rocket launcher, a Void rocket launcher, something that's Void or solar so it gets the 25% bonus and something that has a little bit of burst to it if you need to nuke down a champion or just makes the boss a little bit quicker. As far as the rest of the build goes, doesn't really matter too much. I'll have a written guide in the description if you just want to see everything, or you can take a screenshot of this. This is the build that I just released a build video on. I'm doing this on Hunter, of course. I think having at least one tether is absolutely spectacular for speeding up some of the rooms. But I think any excess hunters should be on Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun. It just makes, nuking the boss down significantly quicker. The rest of your stuff doesn't really matter too much, though. In previous GMs, we've had Overload champions, so we were reliant on slowing abilities in our subclasses on the Overload champions. This is Barrier Unstop, so we don't really have to worry about Overload. So it doesn't really matter that much. The only thing I would really encourage you to bring is the Facet of Solitude, so you can sever literally everything that you're beaming with your Outbreak with precision hits. It cuts their damage by 40%, which is pretty massive in a GM when it, as far as survivability goes. So I really love this. Love Protection for bonus damage resistance. I love Dawn for Radiant on Demand. Stuff like that. It's going to feel really, really good. If you're rocking and rolling on a Warlock, I would say probably go with Song of Flame. And if you're rocking and rolling on a Titan, I'd probably say come equipped with Twilight Arsenal. As far as the rest of the build goes, like I said, your build genuinely doesn't matter for this all that much as long as you're bringing Outbreak Perfected. But if you do want to make things a little bit easier on yourself, I'm just rocking and rolling with the build that I just did my most recent Hunter build video on. I'll link that in the description as well. Armor mods matter a little bit. Definitely want to play into your Outbreak, so we're going to go with the Kinetic Siphon and the Kinetic Loader. And then basically all of the damage in the strike is arc damage, so we're going with a double arc resistance as well as a concussive dampener. We have got a weapon surge for our heavy weapon. We've got a weapon surge for kinetics, so our Outbreak gets even more bonus damage. And then we've got a scavenger mod matching our heavy weapon. Classic Hunter combo of Reaper, Time Dilation, and Bomber. You could alternatively go Powerful Attraction instead of Reaper if you'd like. I like the Time Dilation instead, so I have a higher uptime on my kinetic weapon surge for my Outbreak. And then, maybe a heavy ammo finder, scout. Like I said, all this will be linked in the description, so you don't have to worry too much, but that's about it. This GM, similar to the previous two, in past seasons, the boss room can get a little bit hairy. So I'll show you the perfect spots to stand in the boss room, and then I'll also show you the perfect spots to stand in for all the other rooms, the best way to tackle all of the other rooms, and do them with, pretty quickly with relative ease and whatnot. This one's really not all that bad as long as you know where to stand and as long as you're bringing Outbreak Perfected, because this gun genuinely just is that powerful. And while we're flying in, shout out to Ghost and Physics who are helping me out with this run. We don't have comms right now, just to further illustrate how easy this is when you have all three people running Outbreak Perfected. You don't even need to use comms, and you'll still whoop the GM. But they were hanging in my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Mactics, where we record all of these live. You should stop by sometime. Maybe we can do a GM together. Sometimes I run GMs with people that are chilling in the stream. So, yeah. Anyway, with that loadout equipped, all that rambling out of the way, we're getting started. Obviously, breaking out the Sparrows. This first room's a little tricky when it comes to positioning because you get attacked from all different angles, and you have a lot of enemies that are going to be made immune by these barrier servitors. So step number one is to just absolutely torch the barrier servitors. There's 2 of them. We're going to have one right in front of us. And then there's also going to be one that likes to hide a little bit more. So we're going to try and work our way and get an angle on him. You do have to have some degree of patience with this guy, because as you can see here, you have a ton of immune enemies that are kind of body blocking him, and you don't necessarily just want to firing squad the servitor in front of a bunch of immune vandal snipers. So we're just going to be a little patient here. We're going to pick off the enemies that we can pick off that get too far away from the servitor and lose their immunity. And then when we do end up seeing an angle on the servitor, we're going to tank it. Typically either through this window or typically through that right side doorway. You do want to be a little careful pushing up here to the left, though, because you have a bunch of enemies on that left side. So if you are going to take this angle and try and take out the servitor through the window, make sure you push up far enough so that these guys on the left can't see you. So kind of right here in this cubby. After we take out that other barrier servitor, we're going to start mowing down everything on the left side with our outbreaks. We're just going to keep team shooting stuff. We're also going to make sure we just kind of keep an eye on our backs. Typically, I like to have 2 players focus on this left side and 1 player focus on the right side, just to make sure that you have all your bases covered, nothing's flanking you, nothing's shooting at you in the back, all that jazz. You can also, you don't have to play that far up. You can play back here a little bit more. You can see pretty much the entire room. It's not so bad. Then what I like to do is, I'm going to bring my whole team over here to the left side. And we're going to kind of play on this staircase a little bit right here. I like kind of playing this corner. Main threats are going to be right here to your right side, down this kind of middle area of the room, and then you also got a ton of enemies that are going to be up here on the left. If you want to play a little bit slower, you can remain in this starter area and just kind of let everything funnel into you. But if you want to speed things up a little bit, I like push up in this left side corner. It just gives you some more aggressive angles on all the enemies. Once this barrier shield comes down, if you do have a tether hunter on your squad, I love dropping the tether right there. Kind of gets everything, dispatch the barrier servitor real quickly, everything else gets bundled up. The sheer damage mops up pretty much everything inside that staircase. And just pay attention, look at the lower left for, the next sequence of mobs. Look at how quickly I get my super. With Outbreak Perfected, the exotic damage, the exotic primary ammo, more specifically, just absolutely torching everything. You get your super so ridiculously fast. So we're just going to beam this first barrier servitor, and then we're going to have another barrier servitor that's going to be just kind of right outside this door that we're going to wait until we can get an angle on. We're going to worry about this barrier servitor before we worry about anything else. Do have to be a little bit careful of that wizard damage, though. That's why we brought that double arc resistance. Like I said, pretty much all damage in here is going to be arc damage. You got these 2 shriekers out here, but they're not really hitting you for a long period of time. But you got the wizard damage, you got the boss damage, you got all the knights are boomer knights. They do they do arc damage. You've got the vandals with the whatever they're called, the trace rifles. I think the tracking bullets, that's going to be arc damage. You've got the wire rifles, the vandal snipers, that's going to be arc damage. Only thing else really, the ogres are void damage, but they're all unstoppable, so you can stun them, and it's not really that big of a deal. So those arc damage resistances really are a big deal. So before we really care about these 2 barrier champions up on these boxes, I'm going to wait to deal with them until we get all of these enemies, these kind of trash mobs that funnel to us in mid, specifically the arc-shielded boomer knights. Once all of those guys are dead, then we can push up and start tackling this left side barrier knight. Just going to team shoot him. The outbreaks will take care of him super quickly. Couple more bullets and we'll take him out. And then we did see we got a new wave of trash mobs, so we're just going to back things up a little bit and take care of these trash mobs. Whenever the shriekers open, you want to completely throw away anything you're doing, any mobs that you're focusing on, and immediately take out those 2 shriekers. You can use your golden guns if you want to take care of them quickly, but we don't care about anything else while those shriekers are active. They're not going to be active right when you walk into the room. They open up based on how many enemies you've killed. So once you kill a certain amount of enemies, the shriekers are going to open up. Take all your attention away from everything else, even if something's, like super one-shot. Don't get too greedy or anything like that. Make sure that you do show respect to those shriekers, take them out before you continue with the room. After you take out both those Shriekers, you take out the Knights that are hanging out on top of the boxes, all the barrier Knights. You're going to get a couple more enemies that'll spawn in via dropships. Specifically 2 barrier Knights are going to be the high priority targets. We're just going to beam those with our outbreaks. And once we kill everything, that's about it for this outside area. Pretty simple. Then I'm going to come in here. This gate's going to open. If you run through too quickly, you'll get the joining allies. You can just completely ignore that. It'll go away. And then we're going to deal with these 2 barrier servitors. Perfect time to use the golden guns. We have another barrier servitor that's kind of hiding. Just kind of take our time. That one got completely smoked. That's why I love the Nighthawks. They really do just that with the Solar Surge. They completely clock the boss. They let you snap your fingers and take out some champions. They just feel really solid. We have one more Vandal right there. Yeah. Make your way through while we're in this transition area. The Guardians, thanks for the Prime sub for 4 months. And Dynasty, thanks for the Prime sub for 8 months. Like I did say, we record all these guides live on Twitch, so, you know, a couple folks coming in using their free Amazon Prime subs to support content. Thank you both. Appreciate you. And, yeah. So once we get to this outside area, as you saw, I just kind of ignore all these enemies. I grappled past them. You don't have to kill any of them. There's no champions there. It's just a patrol zone. You can kill stuff there if you want to, just to be ultra 100,000% safe, but not particularly necessary if you're, you know, going for speed. You're trying to farm out your Ascendant materials, try to get fast time so you can masterwork all of your different variants of your exotic class items. Run right past them. Get to this door. Another area where I absolutely love the tether. So we're going to pop on in right here. We've got Nooda. So we're just going to beam it with Outbreak for a little bit. And then the second we see that spawn happen right there, I'm going to put my tether. Ideally, you would love to have the tether get both Nooda and the Barrier Knight spawns, but the Barrier Knight spawns are more important. So as long as the tether is close enough to get those Barrier Knights, you'll be good to go. You can alternatively just kind of hang back here and let the Barrier Knights walk into you to guarantee that you get the tether on both the Barrier Knights and Nooda. You do want to be a little careful firing on the Barrier Knights with Nooda chilling here. If you want to be super safe, you can just completely beam Nooda with the outbreaks until Nooda leaves from taking too much damage, and then you can deal with the Knights in isolation while Nooda's not shooting at you. But with the concussive dampener, the arc resistances, and just as long as you're aware of the fact that Nooda is around and shooting at you, you're pretty good. Taking a little bit of damage right there, just get out of the way. Might kill her before we even get to the boss room. How funny would that be? I wonder what happens if you do that. I wonder if it's, I don't even know if that's possible. I remember back in the day in the Destiny 1 days when this was Omnigul. Back in the Rise of Iron days, it was an effective strategy to, you could farm like power level drops by killing Omnigul right here in this area, spamming over and over again. You know, shout out if y'all remember those days. But anyway, sorry, continuing. Forgot this is a guide. Killing both of the wizards right there, and then we're just kind of peeking at this unstoppable. The first unstoppable that you encounter in the entire strike. Like I said, I haven't shot a single bullet out of any other weapon other than Outbreak. Once we kill that unstoppable, I love rotating over here to the right, and my #1 priority becomes this Barrier Knight up here, just beaming it down with the Outbreaks. Because having that guy, you know, rain down on you while you're trying to mop everything else up is pretty annoying. You do have to be aware of Cursed Thrall that are going to walk down the hill towards you. So please do make sure that you're not taking too much time with that Knight up top, not tunnel visioning on it too hard, because, you know, the last thing you want is a Cursed Thrall to walk into all 3 of you and none of you are paying attention. It blows all 3 of you up in one go. Just be aware of that. You can alternatively just kind of let all the Cursed Thrall walk down into you, kill them, and then you can start worrying about that Barrier Knight up top. Whatever works. I think with the triple Outbreak, as long as you're not completely missing all of your bullets, it's pretty easy to quickly dispatch that Knight up there. So we killed those 2 barriers right there. Pretty simple. Boss room. I'm going to show you guys some spots you can stand in. It's going to make this thing a piece of cake. So we're going to start out. I'm going to walk up a little bit to spawn the boss, drop my tether. This is the time where both of my teammates can pop their goldies if they want to. Absolutely nuke it. The second that we get it to that health threshold, we're going to run down here, and we're going to spawn camp this door. We're going to have 2 arc-shielded Knights that are going to spawn, and we want to immediately drop both of them. second one is going to spawn after you kill the first one, I believe. Or the timing just worked out really nicely there. But you're going to have 2 arc-shielded knights that you're going to kill right there. And once those are both dead, for pretty much all of the fight except for the last portion of Navoda's HP bar, this is the safety zone. Reason being is, although Cursed Thrall and Thrall will spawn behind you, they do not jump up here to hit you. They will always run around the arena, run up here, and then attack you from this way. So there's nothing that can hit you from your backside if you're chilling right here. It's perfect. You can try to find angles on Nooda from down there. It's super, super, super safe, but she can be a little finicky when it comes to peeking. So I do recommend that you actually push up here a little bit more to deal damage to Nooda. And then if you start taking damage, just be disciplined. Don't try to greed too much damage or anything like that. Additionally, you do need to be wary of the Thrall and Curse Thrall that will spawn behind you as you chip through her health bar. So my general rule is 5 seconds of damage, then check behind you. If you don't see anything, go ahead, do another 5 seconds of damage, then check behind you. If you don't see anything, rinse and repeat. If you do see enemies behind you, if you do see that you've spawned Thrall and Curse Thrall, they'll jump out of these windows right here, and they will spawn down here as well. If you do see that you've spawned enemies, you've done enough damage to spawn enemies, just run back here, clean them all up, then you can go back to doing damage. Once you get to the second health gate, you're going to get an unstoppable champion that's going to spawn out of this door right here. Just going to go ahead and stun it instantly once it walks out. Ready up another stun and kill it. And then the second that you kill this unstoppable ogre, look to your left, because you're going to get a regular ogre as well as another unstoppable. Now that regular ogre can, of course, not be stunned, so make sure you're actually diligent with killing it. But also make sure you have one teammate that's keeping an eye to the right. Make sure that none of the acolytes like push you. Great spot to stand can be right here, because you can crouch so that the ogres that spawn down there don't have an angle on you. The enemies to your right side can't see you. You can catch your breath a little bit. You can even hop down here if you want to deal with the ogres. But you just want to make sure that you are keeping an eye on the right side so that the acolytes aren't sneaking up on you. Once you get those 2 ogres dead, it's back to business. We're continuing to deal damage to the boss. And this is our home base right here. As we continue to deal damage, the boss is going to spawn more Thrall and Curse Thrall. So just make sure you're keeping your head on the swivel every time you deal a little bit of damage. Like I said, 5 seconds of damage. I'm going to try to get my cascade point ready. And I didn't have it loaded. That's perfect. But I'm just checking my back right now. I don't see any enemies behind me. So I feel like I'm okay to do some damage. Do a couple GL shots. Check behind me. I see I have some enemies. I'm going to get out of there. And I'm going to kill all of these guys before I even think about doing any more damage. Thrall, that looks good to me. Now that all the trash mobs are dead, back to business. Go take a peek. Looks like no enemies. And perfect. Once you get her to her final bar of HP, you're going to rotate back up to the spawn of the arena, back up here at the beginning, and we're going to play the rest of the fight from up here. You can use all your supers, use your tether, use your golden gun, and as you can see, we literally one-shot her. I will say, if you don't kill her as quickly as we did right there, make sure you're keeping an eye on your left side. You have at least one player dedicated to monitoring the left side, because you are, as you saw kind of right at the very end, a Cursed Thrall jumped out. You are going to have a couple Thrall and Cursed Thrall jump out of this window, land right here, and they're going to walk down here towards you. Just keep an eye out for that. Make sure you have at least one player monitoring that. The other 2 can absolutely go crazy on damage, and you can have the one player be be on Thrall duty, or they can just call out to the team, hey guys, look left, there's some Thrall coming. But for the most part, you're very, very, very safe up on this hill. Golden guns make it an absolute breeze. Throw out the tether, kills everything. Nice voice crack, by the way. Throw out the tether, kills everything that's chilling in there. Not so bad. So be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you found this guide helpful. Make sure to always give commendations to your teammates. If you're looking for people to run this with, join my Discord server linked in the description, where we have an LFG channel in there. You're guaranteed to find people who have all also seen the same exact guide, so they're definitely going to know what they're doing. Gonna be the best teammates you ever have. And yeah, I hope this helped. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in next week's guide for the next Grandmaster Nightfall. And as always, have a great day.